Today, instead of going to the Co-op for our weekly food shop, we're going to try Eurospin this week. We're going to do our weekly shop, see how it compares, and see if it's really the cheapest option. Grazie. Alright, so we've got some nice beautiful flowers here actually. When we walk in, quite nice, looking quite cheap as well. It seems like it doesn't really have the atmosphere of Co-op. I know that suddenly as soon as I walk in. It's got a bit of a stagnant atmosphere. Let's just say that. Co-op seems vibrant and fresh compared to this, but we're not going to compare Co-op too much to this, to Eurospin, but just in general, my first thoughts, it definitely feels like a budget supermarket, just the atmosphere alone. So this is like their fresh fruit section. Now looking at these prices, they don't scream discount to me. Oh, well, I know I keep saying discount, but they don't really scream cheap to me. And I think that's mainly because maybe the actual fruit prices in Italy are quite expensive. And I understand that because the produce is so fresh, especially when you compare it to like the UK as well. You're getting some tomatoes, so $1.19 for some tomatoes. That's really good actually. They still look as fresh. Still look pretty fresh. This week we're going to stay away from the salad, I think, because as someone mentioned before, which I saw in the comments, there's a sort of a parasite or something that you can find in fresh salad, so we might actually just stay away from that this week. I mean, they do have a lot of fruit and veg, for sure. This is like 4 aisles. 4 aisles worth of fresh veg and fruit, which is really good. So far we've got some tomatoes. We've got some like legumes, whole wheat nuts and things like that here as well. Now, I think it's this section that just instantly hit me as a cheaper sort of budget supermarket, or just a cheaper supermarket. It's when they just stack everything in the boxes and it's just a whole section of boxes of snacks and crisps and stuff. It feels budget-y, discount-y. Now, we're not here just to talk about the feel of the shop, because it's all about the pricing, the quality of the produce as well that I want to check out. I know the major part is the price, and I see lots and lots of cheap prices as well, which is really good. Everything, there's loads of offers around. That's all I seem to see everywhere I look. There's like these yellow offerta signs for stuff, so that's always a good sign. It's just pretty interesting how they prioritize. This is like the first section when you walk in. I don't know if it's the same in every single one, but they've put like the sort of sodas and alcohol right here as soon as you walk in, straight alongside snacks. It's almost like they're prioritizing the layout for people who like to just binge, which I find quite funny as well, because it's almost I feel like I'm in the UK getting ready for my next Netflix binge, because I've got it all here if I need it. Priorities. Speaking of indulging with snacks, these nacho cheese things are amazing. I can't pass up on them. They're so good. We'll get some crackers as well. Just while we're in the snack section, I know it doesn't look like much so far, but this is what we have to deal with, because we go straight through our first section is literally straight from the vegetables and fruit straight into the snack section. So the trolley is looking quite varied so far. Get some bread, some pane. Okay, cool. And then straight from the snack section, we've got straight into that sort of processed or ready-made pasta. What are these? That is, wow. Okay, yeah. Oh, they've got like a veggie or vegan section here as well. That's pretty cool. There's lots of offers. That's definitely what I'm seeing. That is the theme across Eurospin, sort of compared to the Co-op so far. There's just everywhere you look, there's these yellow labels of just things on offer, just everywhere. I think the general price, when it's not on offer, is not drastically, massively different from the Co-op though. From what I'm seeing so far, but we will see and we will find out how much we spend at the end when we see the receipt or scontrino. All right, we've got some mortadella. Okay, cool. Let's see how much that is. So we got ours for $1.49, which is, yeah, it's relatively cheap. Yeah, got some wine here. It just seems very, very random. I've got to say this. I know. Like I say, the video is about pricing as well. But if I'm relating it to something like the Co-op, just the ease of use, this just seems quite erratic. They're just putting everything, every sort of indulgence under the sun, right in front of your eyes as soon as you walk in. It's almost like you have to sift through the indulgences or unhealthy stuff to get to right at the back here. The delis. Now, when you go in the Co-op, the delis are right there in front of you, right next to the food and veg section. Now, I don't know how intentional this is, but it just looks. If I look here, if I pan here, this looks like a really nice, beautiful supermarket. But then you turn around and there's just like aisles of just crap, trash, cheap stuff, and that's what separates it from anything else. It almost feels like 50% of this supermarket is, I mean, this is half of the supermarket. Look, like half of the supermarket is literally alcohol, snacks, and processed food. The other half. This, however, is really nice. It's beautiful. Seeing all this fresh stuff, fresh fish, fresh seafood and shellfish. It's fantastic. I love the delis. You don't get these sort of delis too much anywhere or often in England. Got some fresh chicken. Yeah, the delis for sure are an absolute highlight and a high point, and even the butchers over here as well are always a high point of the Italian supermarkets, especially compared to the UK. Sort of 80% of supermarkets you go into in the UK, like especially your local ones, they just don't have like these fresh deli counters. And then we're back to like, this almost feels like Action. Now, if you haven't seen the Action video, go check that out. It's a good one. It's interesting. We find a load of like bargains and stuff. And that was an interesting first experience. But when I'm in here, this doesn't feel like a supermarket. Like, it feels like Action. There's just a load of... So we've basically got one section. Okay, we've got one section or two sections, half of the store full of like indulgence, snacks, alcohol, just trashy stuff, not like a weekly, well-rounded, balanced diet of things. And then the second half of the store is literally, it's like Action. You've just got random household things. Now that to me doesn't scream supermarket. Alright, well, we got some more because we've been sort of trapped in this little section of like processed and ready-made stuff. We've gone for some ravioli. We're going to try some stuff out. Now, I know it's not the most healthiest of foods, but we're definitely going to try it out. But I feel like it's almost intentional. Yeah, sure, we can spend more time in here and dig through the you know, the forest of or the woodland of sort of processed or trash food to get to the really good stuff and the deli stuff. But I feel like it's sort of pushing us into eating or picking up more cheaper rubbish. And this is, it's not about if you're eating healthy, because some people eat healthy. It's all about preference, really. Everyone has their own preference on how they eat. It's just about the variety of products offered and the cost and the actual shopping experience itself. Alright, well, let's look at the meats. There's lots of offers everywhere. I wouldn't necessarily say that the meats are cheaper than the Co-op. However, yeah, I mean, we got something like this from the Co-op for around €4 last week. So I wouldn't say it was drastically cheaper. And to me, the quality looks... It doesn't look as good as the Co-op. It does look... I mean, it looks good, but it doesn't look as good as the Co-op for some reason. It just looks a bit more... I don't know whether that's the way it's presented. I know I'm being very sort of precise and nitpicking here, but... You know, we shop and we eat with our eyes, don't we? So if something doesn't look that good or that fresh, or the quality just isn't there by just the way it's laid out or it looks, then you know, it's hard to want to have it, you know? I mean, the quality is just not there, is it? I think it's funny because once you've been to the Co-op, you look disappointed. Once you've been to the Co-op, it's like you can't go back. And to be honest, this is just preference. It's like anyone who has a preference of eating healthy. But for me, I would rather go and just spend that tiny little bit more money. And like I say, I'll say it again, it's all down to preference and how much money you want to spend. And I would rather spend just that little bit more and have a massive variety of options, all fresh. You know what you're getting when you walk in. This you have to be very, very selective. Sure, yeah, undisputedly it's cheaper than the Co-op, but the experience and what it has to offer and the quality of the food shows how cheap it is compared to the Co-op. Disappointed. My love, I think you're right. I think we get what we need to get because these options are not the best. So my impressions are, I just had to sort of stop here because we've both decided to actually just do our shopping. I know this sounds dramatic, but we're going to actually leave our shopping and go to the Co-op and do our proper shop there. Now we are still getting all the things that we got originally in the trolley, but we're actually just going to end getting more things because we can't find any fresh food, and we've literally got a trolley's worth full of just snacks and processed foods. And we've actually tried quite a bit to get. We've looked at all the meats and the fresh food, the fresh fish and the deli and stuff. And we've just come to the realization that we can't actually do our full food shop comfortably. We can do it cheaply, but we can't do it comfortably. Getting all the food that we want. We can't do that in Eurospin. So yeah, we're gonna head to Co-op and just pick up the last remaining things like the fresh sort of proteins and meats from the Co-op on our way home. So we've got like some of the stuff. We've done like half of our shopping here, and yes, undoubtedly, undisputedly, it is a cheaper supermarket, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can get your whole shopping here for the week. You just can't do it. Alright, so €33.45 for a bunch of essential snacks. We tried to find all the fresh food and meats and stuff. There's just no variety. Sure, if you're really meticulous, you can spend time and get some fresh, healthy food. But as a general sense, if you're just generally shopping and you want to get your week's shop, I would absolutely not recommend getting your full weekly shop, varied diet weekly shop here at Eurospin. If you want to pick up a couple of cheap, quick things or do 20% of your actual weekly shop in Eurospin, then it's fine. And I have to laugh because I don't think I've ever actually left a supermarket halfway through the shop for the week. So that's the first time I can remember, or for a very long time. And that's my first time in Italy, leaving a supermarket feeling unfulfilled with the weekly shop.